you never have all of us ever had? Of course, situations in which, wow, I see now I could have done that differently. But at the time, I felt I had only one choice. That was this way, which ended up very negative, you know? But I couldn't see further than that moment. I couldn't see what to do differently. I mean, even with people standing telling me, I couldn't see it. And maybe 5 years from now, I'm in a similar situation. But I've gained something since then that enables me to perform better in the situation, to get a better outcome.
It's impossible for one person to judge another's path. I've learned that through the years. I have seen cases where something would occur to you, and I would sit here and perhaps look at that and say, oh, that's really tragic. And then to move into that person's pattern and see an altogether different take on it.
When you look at somebody, you got to go beyond. You got to go behind them. And you got to realize that what they're projecting right here in front of us is really that. It's just a projection of all the experiences they've had in this lifetime and many other lifetimes. There is some total right now of every experience they've ever had. And before we go to judge them, before we say something, we got to stop and look behind them in that. Every single person has a backstory. There's a reason why that behavior is that way. Maybe they didn't have a good childhood. Maybe they weren't loved as a child. Maybe they were given too much as a child. Maybe whatever happens, there's always a reason. There's always a backstory. And I think we have to be mindful that everybody has a backstory. So before we judge people, we're going to stop. And so I've learned that lately too. And I use that now in my own life. I'll use that and say, wait a minute, the haters out there, the people don't, the people on really polarized opposites there. There's got to be a reason why they're that way. And I just got to be, I can't be negative or judgmental, because if I am, I'm just as bad as they are. I'm on that same level. And I got to be better then. So I always tell people, take the high road, less traffic.
It takes work to know the self. And in some sense, that's our lifelong task, to be able to learn and know the self. But in order to learn and know the self, and even to become consciously aware of that, and even become aware of that in your left hemisphere, you have to have the emotional experiences of life that literally opens them up to you, whether they be very positive or very negative. And that the more we are defended against having emotional experiences, the less that there is literally to process about the deeper way that the unconscious works. Got me here?
We're seeking to wake up to that which is infinite within us, and to be an expression of the infinite. Conditions and circumstances are what is called the past, because it's something that used to be a thought that's now condensed, and we rub up against it. That creates a level of friction for us to break open inside, for us to activate the latent potential that's within us. Much like certain seeds that have a strong outer core, they never germinate unless there's a forest fire. The potential lays dormant until a forest fire happens, and then all that good stuff comes out. So many of the things we're rubbing up against are actually for our soul's edification, creating a forest fire within us, a crisis, an existential crisis sometimes, so that we could ultimately become more our real self.